Chapter 4. Cloud 9 Cracks. When the smoke clears, only the real ones still stand. Rain tapped heavy on the plexiglass roof of the Skytrap, Bud's luxury greenhouse penthouse on the edge of Cloud 9. That high up, the whole city looked like a hazy aquarium, fog rolling through neon lights, traffic blinking in slow motion, and green glow dispensary signs shining like sin. Bud stood barefoot in the middle of his jungle. Thick stalks of blue venom, sticky Buddha, and pineapple pyro OG swayed around him. The strains were humming. Real growers knew plants spoke if you paid attention. And tonight, they were nervous. Mary Jane slid through the glass door, hoodie up, Glock tucked low. "They hit Smog Tunnel," she said, voice flat. "Took out 2 of our drivers. Gutter folk tags left behind, with a torch." Bud didn't flinch. "They bold now." "They suicidal," she corrected. Capo Z said they move and wait through Roll-Up Boulevard now. That's our shit. Bud touched the leaves of a glowing purple stalk. "I let 'em taste turf. Now they think it's dinner." He walked to the workbench where a ceramic bowl held 3 rolled joints. These weren't normal rolls. Each tip was marked with a color stripe. Red, black, gold. His coded strains. Red, mind high. Black, body knock. Gold, hallucination and clarity. He lit the gold one and exhaled slow. "They movin' like ghosts," Mary Jane said. "No phones, no chatter, runnin' tight and silent. That ain't Northside style." "Means they got a new boss," Bud muttered. "Somebody smart." Mary Jane narrowed her eyes. "Smart don't scare me, quiet does." Bud nodded. "Get Capo. Tell him to light up the Keef line. We put eyes on every block east of the vape vault. If anything breathes on our soil, we exhale fire." She smirked. "You want smoke, huh?" "I want war in a jar," he said. "Sealed, branded, and sold out by sunrise." Down below in Zaza Lane, Tonebone the chemist flipped a switch in the lab under Dankbank East. Pressure built inside the extractor tube. The new strain, codenamed Godspliff, bubbled thick and oily into a Pyrex jar. "This one don't knock," he mumbled to himself, grinning. "It baptize." Outside, headlights hit the alley, then silence. Tonebone glanced at the monitor. One camera was blacked out. He reached for the intercom. "Bud, we got eyes down. Might be..." Glass shattered behind him. A blunt object struck his head. He dropped fast, blood spraying across the table. The attacker stepped into frame. A figure draped in black, face covered in a silvered leaf-stitched ski mask. No gang colors, no tags, just the mark burned into their glove. G9, the Ghost Faction, Cloud 9's forgotten ghosts, Bud's old enemies, back from the underground. Bud stared at the monitor as the feed fizzled out. Static, then darkness. Marianne stood behind him, her fingers tightening on the grip of her Glock. "That was Tonebone's lab." "Not anymore," Bud said coldly. "They just baptized it in blood." Capo Z burst in, face tight with fury. "We lost 6 corners since sundown. Gutter folk ain't even claiming it. This got ghost prints all over." "G9, Bud muttered. "Didn't think they still had breath left." Marianne turned to Capo. "Get eyes on every rooftop. We ain't dealing with turf war bullshit no more. This is assassination business." Bud lit the black tip, blunt now, body high. He needed weight in his limbs. Grounding. Rage without balance was a liability. "We cut communication," Bud said. "Go analog. Couriers. Word of mouth only. Phones get smashed. Radios off." Capo nodded, already dialing off burner instructions to the foot soldiers. Bud looked out the window again. Fog thickened like sweat. The city was swelling. Something old was rising up from the streets, something he buried years ago. "They ain't back for money," he whispered. "They back for payback." Back in Dankbank East, the ghost in the silver mask opened the freezer chest. Inside, vacuum-sealed bags of unfinished Godspliff shimmered like moon crystals. The ghost didn't steal them. He torched them. A flame stick hissed and whooshed as fire swallowed the freezer. "Let the world burn," the figure said, voice distorted, synthetic, female. She lit a fat cone and puffed hard. Not weed, not a joint. It was ashes. The remains of Tone Bone's last strain, burnt, rolled, smoked as a warning. In Cloud9's penthouse, Bud sat with Smoke Deacon, an OG from Trichome Terrace, face full of hash burns, voice raspy like old vinyl. "You told me G9 was dust," Bud said, barely holding his fire. "You said I buried that crew." Deacon nodded slowly. "Some roots don't die. They go dormant, then they grow sideways. I need names." Deacon leaned back. "Only one matter now, the Reclaimer." Bud's jaw clenched. "She ain't real." "She is now, and she ain't after corners. She after your legend." Bud flicked the roach from his blunt, crushed it with his heel. "Then we burn down her story before it spreads." Cloud9 wasn't just a district. It was a crown, a symbol of status. And someone wanted to snatch it off Bud's head with bloodied fingers. Mary Jane leaned on the counter in the grow room, rolling up her sleeves. "You know what this means?" Bud nodded. "We smoked the whole tree this time. No pruning." Mary Jane licked her blunt and sealed it. "Say less." Bud slid a tray of one-hit Aquita seedlings from the UV rack. The leaves pulsed under the glow like lungs breathing. This strain was his masterpiece, pure knockout, designed for clarity, control, and coma-level sedation. He'd been perfecting it in silence. Only 3 people knew: Mary Jane, Tone Bone, and now Tone Bone was gone. Mary Jane stepped beside him, pressing a blade into her boot holster. "We should move the seedlings." "We move them, we lose time. These need 4 more days to stabilize." "If we don't move them, we might lose everything." Bud stared at the tray. "They're not ready," he said. "But I am." Night dropped hard over Highgardens. Streetlights flickered like they were scared to stay lit. The roads south of Roll-Up Boulevard were patrolled by Bud's riders now, hooded figures on green dirt bikes, packs of pre-rolls strapped across their chests like ammo. Over on Gorilla Glue Gulch, a turf known for heavy smoke and heavier silence, Capo Z kicked in the door of a known ghost stash house. Inside, 3 bodies, heads bagged, hands bound, all shot execution style. The smell of gasoline filled the air. On the floor, a blunt still burned. Written in ash on the wall, "Reclaim the smoke." Capo Z spat. "They playin' script games now." Back at the Skytrap, Bud suited up. Black on black fit. No logos, no flair, just utility. Mary Jane handed him the Seed Box 9, a custom Mac 11 modified to hold joint-shaped cartridges laced with liquid loud. They didn't just shoot, they stank. Burned the nostrils of anyone within 10 feet. Called it Hotbox Homicide. "You really going solo tonight?" she asked. He loaded a fresh clip. "If she's back, I need her to see me face to face. Then let her see both of us." He stopped, looked at her. Mary Jane lit 2 joints, passed him one. "To fire and flowers," she said. "To war and bloom," he replied. They smoked in silence as the city burned around them. A deep hum buzzed through the back streets of Sour Diesel Strip, one of the last stretches under Bud's full control. The neon sign of the block's most secure dispensary, Loud House, flickered like it knew what was coming. Inside, a young runner named Lil Seed was stacking vacuum-sealed packs. The air smelled like citrus, pine, and low-key paranoia. He moved fast, fingers shaking. A shadow passed by the front glass. He ducked. Gunfire ripped through the air. One burst, clean. The glass shattered inward. A single figure walked in through the smoke with a lit joint hanging from her lip, dragging a dead security guard behind her by his dreads. She was tall, wrapped in black denim, face scarred on the left side. Her dreadlocks were dipped green. Her boots stomped like the streets owed her money. She wasn't G9, she was the Reclaimer. "Lil Seed," she said, smiling through the smoke. "Tell your boss, legends don't die. They come home." She shot him twice in both knees, then left him screaming in the haze. Bud got the call while sliding into the back of a gelato truck, a mobile grow lab disguised as an ice cream van. She was at Loud House, Capo said over the burner. Left her mark in a runner full of holes. Bud shut his eyes. She's baiting me. Yeah, and she got your flavors on fire. Bud crushed the burner and threw it out the window. The truck screeched down the alley past Moonrock Towers, where old dealers turned ghosts watched the streets with empty eyes. Mary Jane sat in the front seat, shotgun on her lap. You ready? She asked. Bud stared out the window. I was born in fire. This just a reunion. Meanwhile, in a cold brick room under Trichome Terrace, Smoke Deacon met with two old heads, Splice and Aunt Indica. These were the original keepers of Highgardens Grow Secrets. Ain't no lab-born strains like they could do with dirt and prayer. She's back for control, Aunt Indica said, loading a nug the size of a baby fist into her brass pipe. Not money, not turf, just the seed vault. Smoke Deacon nodded. Bud's secret strain. That one hit a... Not just his, Splice rasped. It was hers too, before he locked her out. The room went quiet except for the bubbling of a glass bong. Smoke Deacon sighed. We got another war coming, and this time, both gods got fire. Aunt Indica exhaled slow, the smoke curling into a skull shape. Then let the harvest bleed. Bud and Mary Jane stood outside the Gangatorium, a long-abandoned cultivation fortress once owned by Highgardens' original grow cartel. Rust clung to the steel doors. The whole place reeked of old kush and older betrayal. This where she made her first strain, Bud muttered. Back when we was young, dumb, and broke. Mary Jane raised her MAC-10. Now we just dangerous. Bud cracked the door. Inside, green grow lights still flickered, powered by stolen city grid lines. Dozens of grow tents lined the walls, but they weren't filled with weed anymore. They were filled with bodies, each one zip-tied in place, eyes taped open, and mouths stuffed with pre-rolls soaked in gasoline. Bud stepped forward, rage clenching his jaw. A voice echoed from the upper catwalk. Bud Smoke always was more flour than fire. He spun, eyes locking on the reclaimer. She leaned on the railing like a queen surveying a rotting kingdom. Her silver necklace glowed faint, tiny weed leaves for links. In her hand was a revolver carved from repurposed bong glass and steel. Put down the heat, she said. Let's talk plant to plant. Mary Jane scoffed. Bitch, I talk bullets. The reclaimer grinned. Still his shadow, huh? Bud raised his hands. I ain't here for debate. I'm here for closure. The reclaimer descended slowly, each step echoing like thunder. You stole my vault, she said. You branded it under your name, called it Bud's Breathe. That strain was mine, Bud growled. You grew it, yeah, she said, but I birthed it. Mary Jane took aim. Last chance. The reclaimer's eyes flashed. Shoot me, she whispered, but the moment my blood hits this soil, G9 burns every field you love. Bud held up his hand, stopping Mary Jane. This ain't over, he said. She smiled. It never is. Then she vanished into the shadows behind the tents. Outside, Capo Z got ambushed on Grinder Boulevard. A ghost crew in hoodies swarmed his ride, riddling it with brass. Capo caught a round in the shoulder, another in his thigh. Still managed to crawl out the back and dump his clip into 3 of them. Sirens wailed in the distance. Not cops, emergency growers, Bud street medics. They dragged Capo to cover as he coughed blood. Warn Bud, he gasped. G9 got a new strain, a smoke bomb. It melts lungs. The medic cursed. They trying to erase our whole crop. Capo nodded once before passing out. The lab at Cloud9 HQ went dark. Generators kicked in, but the lights stayed dim, flickering like they were scared of what came next. Bud slammed his palm on the table, frustration boiling through his skin. They inside the grid now, he muttered. Hacking our eyes, our feeds, our fucking lungs. Mary Jane loaded up the war board. Digital zones lit red from corner losses. Half the pre-roll district was in flame icon status. The other half was blinking, meaning Ghost crew activity suspected. We gotta hit back with venom, she said. No more weed bags and warnings, straight body bags. Bud nodded, then pointed at the blinking zone on Reefer Row. She's hiding there, her strains moving like candy to fiends. Every body we lose smells like that new loud. What's it called? She asked. He clenched his jaw. Revenant OG. Mary Jane's face froze. That's the one y'all made in the vault, she said, voice low. He didn't answer. Tell me you ain't store the formula in the grow log. Silence. Bud, tell me that bitch ain't got your recipe. Bud looked down. She got the blueprint, but she don't got the soil. Mary Jane stepped back, lips tight with fury. That soil is Highgardens, and she about to poison it with our legacy. Bud stood. Then we bury her in it. At Keefe Kingdom, a trap church turned command bunker for OGs and growers. Bud held a summit. Only the real were invited. No dealers, no hype beasts, no social media hustlers. Just cultivators with dirt in their nails and war scars under their hoodies. Smoke Deacon lit the sacred chalice, an old glass bong carved from the roots of Highgarden's first plant. The flame rose high. We gather not for profits, he said, voice deep and raspy, but for vengeance. The old heads nodded. Bud stepped into the circle. I built this city on gas, he began. Loud in every corner, pre-rolls in every crib. From Trichome Terrace to Bubba Boulevard, my Bud kept the peace. He pointed at the chalice. But now, someone brought poison to our peace. G9, the reclaimer, that ghost. They're pushing Revenant OG in back alleys and burner clubs, Smoke Deacon said. It's got power. It's got my name, Bud said, and I'm taking it back. He turned to the crew. We light up every ghost spot tonight, hit 'em on all corners, pull every plug, burn every bag that ain't from us. A young female grower named Hasha Ray stepped forward. What about casualties? Bud's stare was ice. They knew what strain they lit. Let 'em smoke with the dead. The room nodded in silence. Loyalty didn't need applause. Mary Jane rode solo through Pineapple Expressway on her matte green dirt bike, a sawed-off Mossberg strapped across her back. The hood was silent, too silent. She stopped outside a trap bar, dank and dirty, where word was G9 had been running drops disguised as DJs. Inside, bodies swayed to dub-heavy trap remixes, neon fog lights flashing over baked-out dancers. Mary Jane walked in slow, lit a blunt in the middle of the dance floor. The DJ paused the track, eyeing her. She exhaled thick, sour smoke and pulled the Mossberg from her back. I came for the mix, she said, cocking it once, not the poison. The room scrambled, but 4 G9 heads stayed posted, strapped. They never made it past their first move. Mary Jane blew 2 of them into the bar mirror. The third caught a knee to the jaw and a slug to the back. The fourth begged for breath, until she emptied a Ziploc of OG kryptonite on his face, sparking it before she walked out. The club exploded 5 minutes later. No one danced again. Bud got word while driving through Rolling Papers Avenue, a turf laced with underground vape tunnels and resin traps. Mary Jane's hit made noise, but it also made enemies. G9 fired back, literally. One of Bud's OG couriers, Lil Draw, got torched alive while delivering flour to a cancer ward. They left him in the alley with a doobie in his mouth, and the words, "One hit a stolen," carved into his chest. Bud didn't cry, didn't blink. He just opened the back of the van, pulled out a fresh weapon, the spliff splitter, a twin-blade axe with a roach clip built into the hilt. If they want to make this about legacy, he growled, let's show 'em what happens when legends don't fold. The wind howled through Backwoods Basin, a stretch of abandoned grow houses where G9 had set up one last safe zone. The walls dripped with humidity, spores floated like ash. Every inch of air smelled like rot and rage. Bud, Mary Jane, Capo, patched and limping, and Smoke Deacon crept through the overgrown tunnel leading to the basin's power junction. Their goal, shut down G9's clone labs. Lights off, plants die, Bud whispered. No harvest. No hype. No war. They reached the junction box just as 3 ghosted G9 soldiers lit up the alley with infrared beams. One bullet grazed Mary Jane's shoulder, another knocked Smoke Deacon off his feet. Capo screamed and opened fire with a vengeance, emptying a drum clip into the shadows until 2 bodies dropped hard. Bud yanked the switch with a grunt. Everything went black. But in the dark, the Reclaimer's voice rose like a devil's echo. "You finally killed the lights, huh?" she said, stepping forward with a glowing Revenant OG blunt in hand. "Then let's burn together." She pulled 2 phosphorus grenades from her belt, sparking them against the concrete. Mary Jane shot one clean out of her hand. Bud charged her like a storm. They collided in the wet dirt of Highgardens past. 2 roots twisted in war, fists flying, blades flashing, rage choking every breath. "You stole the strain!" she screamed, raking his arm with a serrated blade shaped like a leaf stem. "You left me in the dirt!" Bud bellowed, driving his elbow into her temple. Blood soaked the soil. The grenades rolled nearby, hissing smoke like burning pre-rolls. Mary Jane tackled Bud out of the blast range just as both detonated. The Reclaimer vanished in the burst, swallowed by green-tinged flame. Silence fell over the basin. Smoke Deacon wheezed. "That feel like the end?" Bud looked at the scorched soil. "Nah, this just the ash." Mary Jane helped him up. He stared across the basin, eyes full of smoke and prophecy. "Time to grow something new."